Welcome to the Salty Investors, episode number 56. It is Thursday, November the 9th. What's going on, Tim? November the 9th.
Yep, pretty hot up here, but yeah, it's pretty good. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's getting warm. It's getting warm. It's warming up. You can feel it. It's coming. Summer's coming. But let's get to talking about temperatures rising. A lot of temperatures rising. This is my salt for this week. Governor Bullock found her lady balls and raised the cash rate to a whopping 4.35%, remembering that inflation is year over year 5.4%. So as she should have. Now, of course, the economic illiterates were out complaining about how this is going to hurt mortgage holders and renters and who knows how people on fixed incomes, and all that's true. And one particular individual said, was complaining that he was spending 75% of his income on his mortgage before the rate rise, to which I have two things to say. What idiot lent this guy the money in the first place? And why did he think that that would be a good idea to begin with? But not to worry, because house prices are still going up thanks to the immigration Ponzi scheme. So it's all equity until it isn't.
Yeah. I was surprised by the rate rise. I was on the other camp thinking, there's no way hasn't done it now, hasn't done it for the last couple of months. So why change now? But clearly I was wrong.
Well, I thought she should do it, but I didn't think she would do it. But I mean, what choice does she have? I mean, I think, we look like a laggard compared to New Zealand. They just put the pedal to the metal. Got the rate up to over 5% there, and we've been pussyfooting around. So maybe we're gonna pay for it, as we'll see later on. Anyway, what's your salt for this week?
I just looked up the cost of the Olympics in 2032, and it's going to cost us $7.1 billion. There's little economic value in running the Olympics, so I think maybe it's better spent on the housing crisis. There is currently a shortfall of 10,000 houses per year in Queensland, and the situation is only getting worse. A trailer park home costs $100,000, so we could get 71,000 homes with the $7.1 billion. And that assumes that the government forks in a little bit of money for land as well. So why would anybody invest in the Olympics? Why can't we invest in, building these homes instead? Surely that's a better way of investing the money. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about creating more trailer parks. I don't know how that will go down. That they'll just turn into the, new slums. And I do question the 7.1 billion figure. It's always bigger, as you know. Cost blowouts, always bigger. But yeah, I mean, as we know, Olympics are notoriously loss makers. I think the Sydney Olympics was an exception. I think that one broke even, maybe, and it was a good Olympics. Everything went well. The weather was brilliant, fantastic stuff. But the Olympics, at the end of the day, for people that live, I lived in the eastern suburbs of Sydney at that time, so it didn't affect me because everything was out in Homebush and everywhere else. So traffic was no problems. I caught public transport to work anyway. But these things are just a nightmare for people who live in and around the Olympic sites. If they've got any sense, they will just, they'll use the trans issue to collapse the men's and women's categories into one, and then we'll only be bothered for 7 days instead of 14, and that'll help everybody get through it. But yeah, it's going to be a boondoggle. The costs will blow out. We could have spent the money better elsewhere. But at least Palaszczuk will have a legacy.
Yeah, cut some ribbons on the day, and everyone feels good. But yeah, women sleeping in cars, I don't think is too nice either, but so be it.
I notice your sexism there, Tim. So it's all right for men to sleep in cars, but not for the women.
Yeah. Well, that's socially acceptable, I'm afraid.
Yeah. All right. What we should move on to the biggest event of the week. Talk about things going up. Inflation. The RBA raised rates, as we just said, by 2.25% to 4.35%. And I just want to point out, as this chart shows, we are still a full percentage point below the year-over-year inflation rate. So again, I don't know what that says, Tim. We might have just pussyfooted around too much, have we? Sat on our hands because inflation as they say in the statement, she said, still too high and is proving more persistent than expected a few months ago. So, as further on in that paragraph, she goes to say that they won't get to the top of the target range, 3%, till the end of 2025. Now, they were wrong. Their forecasts were wrong a few months ago about where it would be now. So if we can I think we can do away with the idea that they know where inflation is going to be in 2 years, let alone, they don't know within 3 months. So take those with a big grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, higher for longer, which is what we've said. It's been right. But the stock market just doesn't want to agree with us. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's just, if they are right, 2 years is a long time sitting in this limbo land. So, either it's going to crash and they're going to have to take a couple of 100 basis points off the rate, or we're going to be stuck in this higher for longer. Both cases are bad. I don't see a good option there. So I don't know why equity market just shrugging this off, and I suppose they've got to wait for the Christmas retail numbers to come through, but they're not looking too good at the moment. Everyone's sort of a bit worried about that. So
yeah, you can't. I mean, that's the thing, that the retail stocks have rallied anywhere from 10 to 20% in the last couple of weeks. You got to think. And I said to you last week, was this another false start? Because we've had about 3 now, haven't we?
Yeah.
With retail, and you got to think, well, I mean, if they've just raised interest rates again, that's not good for discretionary. So surely, it can't be good. And now they're talking, maybe she's got to go again next meeting or later on. And so the market rate tracker is now saying there's a 10% decrease at the next meeting, which I think is kind of bizarre given the commentary, unless there's some giant collapse but they're not going to move just on one. Surely the RBA has now learnt that you can't just wiggle this thing up and down on one meeting's numbers or one month inflation numbers or something, because it's been sawtoothing up and down. The bond market is sort of agreeing with the RBA, saying, or the futures market, I should say. So there you go. January 2025, they've got the cash rate. They've got the implied cash rate at the same point as it is today. So, and look, that doesn't even constitute one rate rise there. That's a half a rate rise there. So it's really just imagine that. So we're saying what January 2025 is about 14 months away. For 14 months of 4.35%. That's not what people were expecting.
No. End of this year, they were hoping for a rate cut at one point, So that's definitely.
I see. Yeah. Have you seen Steve? Do you follow Stephen Koukoulas?
Oh, I can't.
I mean, that guy has just been completely wrong. I actually tweeted here are the 7 cycles of grief. You're in the denial stage. Yes, I actually tweeted that at him because he's been so completely wrong. It's embarrassing.
Oh well.
But
put away his crystal ball for a bit, I suppose, and focus on doing some real work.
Well, it's just that we know that forecasts aren't worth much in economics, and we have a play around. We don't take it too seriously because we know they're not worth anything. The problem is that these guys actually are taken seriously. That's the problem. People, look at how upset people got when Phil Lowe said that they weren't going to raise rates for a couple of years. I mean, he's got no idea. None of them have. Anyway, just another data point came out yesterday. This was the SEEK employment data. So you can see the red line, job ads are coming down, applications per job are going up. And so as that converges, that just is more pain for the job market. It's a tighter labor market in terms of being able to get a job. So that's not looking too good. I said 4% by the end of the year. There's another silly forecast. We might get there. I think we're going to get there anyway. It might not happen by December anyway, but that's the way it's headed.
Yeah, those applications are just out of control, aren't they? Like, it's not on the average there. So, yeah, it's not looking good. No.
And, to the point that we said earlier, something's got to give here. So that's the inverted on the right-hand Axis the S&P 500 PE ratio. It's contracted a bit. We're back to an 18.
Yep.
And you remarked before that, what if we took out all the big cap techs? Maybe it'll come down. It's a bit like the Australian market. If you take out resource companies, I suppose, you get a different multiple.
That's right.
Or you take out, but something's got to give there. I think there's got to be either the bond market's got to come down, or the stock market, the yields have got to come down.
Yes.
Or the multiple's got to compress a bit further. And it doesn't look like, historically speaking, the stock market's usually the one that capitulates, but we shall see. Hey, it's been, 15 years of playing that game. Why not let it go on a few more years? You know?
That's another couple more. But I don't know. We can't see yields, going much higher than this, surely. But can't see earnings going, crazy higher as well, and then multiple expanding from here. That'd be a bit of one for the ages. But I don't know.
Yields don't really have to go. Don't really have to go any higher. I mean, they just stay where they are, and you'd think that PEs have to contract a little bit. Just if yields hold up where they are, but we shall see. You can see there's some periods there. 18, it kind of got away from itself. That correlation breaks down a bit. Obviously, the pandemic's a sort of a anomaly, but there are periods when it does get the correlation breaks down. Interesting to see which way that falls. Now let's get to what's that?
Well, maybe the Treasury yield has been suppressed, artificially suppressed for so long that, these things a little bit out of whack. But so let's get on to the stock of the week. Altium, it's one that you've mentioned to me before, that you've, looked at it a little bit, and you got people who look into it. It's a PCB software company. So if you're not sure what a PCB is, it stands for printed circuit board. These are the little green boards you normally see in electronics that hold the electronic components. Basically, it's essential to use software because you need it to be designed efficiently and without errors. So there's no way to avoid using software. Altium is the best in the world, and just about everybody needs to use it. And as soon as you start using it, it's really hard to switch because all your designs are in that software. Looking forward, I can see society's going to need more PCBs going forward. So I have a fair high confidence that Altium will be, in the top 2 to 3 bits of software that are running that. Stock has done 1,300% since 2000 compared to 209% for the S&P 500. So it's definitely a winner. Let's look at the fundamentals. The shares outstanding are diluting, which is a bit of a concern. I don't know why they're doing that. They seem to have a heap of cash. The number of employees are growing, but well under revenue, which is great. Price to free cash flow and PE are very expensive. Return on invested capital was low in 2020 and 21, but has recovered back into the mid-20s again, so that's great. Bit of a concern that it did have a bit of a hiccup there. Margins are great. Growth is excellent, better than Microsoft. A small dividend, but a large payout ratio. The large payout ratio isn't really a concern, as they don't really need a huge amount of capital to reinvest. But it'd be nice if they purchase some buybacks at some stage. Interest coverage is great, as you can imagine. Flip over to the cash flow and balance sheet and cash flow. We can see that it's got a net debt of negative 285 million, which is tons of cash. Free cash flow has been down this year, but over the last 6 years, it's been excellent. So you can't really fault it there. Clearly, this is a quality business, but richly valued. In 2016, you could have picked it up for a price to free cash flow of 23, but currently it's a price to free cash flow of 68. So you need a 66% price drop to get back to that price to free cash flow number. This is $15 when the current price is 42. If you think it can keep growing at 15%, maybe you could pay a little bit more and get a price to free cash flow of 30. But that still requires the price to drop to $19 from 42 today. It's less cyclical than semiconductors, but I still think it'll be hit in the next cycle. But But for me to realistically buy this, I need to be buying it on probably a price to free cash of 18, which seems near impossible.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, near impossible is the right word there. I think that implies what? That implies a 75% drop in the price. Yeah,
Yeah.
75% drop in the price. This is, for yeah, that seems unlikely. But yeah, it's just the same old story with Australian quality stocks. Cochlear looked like this last week a bit, didn't it?
Yep.
Just, yeah, great company. Bloody expensive though. There's so little quality in Australia that they get bid up to silly prices. Just on so they've only got 16 mil of debt.
Yeah.
Yet, and so they've got 300 mil of cash. What are they doing? Because they're already paying out 70% of the dividends.
Oh.
So what are they? They're sitting on 300 mil of cash. Is there a special dividend in the offing here or what?
Well, surely they could do a few buybacks or stop diluting, just keep it even, like what are they doing diluting? Surely they should buy back a little bit of their stock and
it's not
it flat.
ESOP, is it? Just handing out options to directors and things.
Yeah. But they should buy that back,
Yeah.
But how could you justify buying it back when you're buying it back at a price to free cash flow of 60?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah.
lunacy. So what do you sort of do? Is your capital allocation thing? Surely maybe you got to acquire something, but what are you going to acquire? You're going to get out of your realm of competence here, and you're going to get into stuff that you really shouldn't be getting into. Because I don't know any synergies that you'd get from acquiring anything. So, I don't think Autodesk is the sort of number 2 player in this field, which is a great company as well. I like that. That's on one that I want to pick up at some stage, hopefully. It's much more reasonably priced. It's got a lot more users than this one, but these guys really focus well on this PCB type design type business, and they're definitely the world leaders. They've got the easiest software to use, and they've been doing it for a fairly long time now. So I don't even see someone as big as Autodesk, eating their cake, unless they stuff up something fairly major. So yeah, it's just great business, but I just can't see how you'd buy this over Microsoft or Visa or MasterCard or even S&P Global. Like, what? Why would you buy this over? They've got, just as good growth, better quality, more consistent quality. What are you doing?
Do they though? Is MasterCard growing their double-digit EPS every year, or I think they're a bit slower growers, aren't they?
No. They're over 10%.
But not much.
Not much, but they're like 11 or something.
Yeah.
So it's not like huge, but
yeah.
But 15 is a large number. Like I know they've done it for the last 10, but can you look forward 10 and go, hey, they can continue to do that? That's when your TAM is small, your total area, so maybe they can, but like you said, Cochlear and all these other guys, everyone seems to think the TAM is, crazy. So you got heaps of room to grow, but I just can't see it, but maybe I'm wrong. But...
Yeah, maybe it's, I mean, even if it is there, I mean, 67 times price to cash flow. It's never been more expensive on a price to cash flow multiple. Never. Yeah. Right. Yeah, something's got to give. Well, there you go, folks. There's another one that I can't buy because it's too expensive for me, but, I'll probably be kicking myself in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that, Tim, and we will see you next time.